In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the water pump on this Mercedes E350. Let's get into it. Just grab this engine cover. We're going to pull up and pull out. It is clipped in. It might be in there a little bit more tricky than how easy this came out. So just pull it straight up. Using a 17mm socket right underneath where the belt is. You can see where the tensioner. You just rotate this counterclockwise. Then we can slide the belt off. And take the belt off the idler pulley, the water pump, the alternator, another idler pulley, power steering pulley. You're gonna have to twist it around the lines. And the crank and the AC compressor. Slide it out. Now I'm going to use a hex key just to lock the tensioner. So put some tension on the tensioner and just put the hex key in there. Slowly release that, and that's just going to hold that. Using an 8mm socket underneath, we're going to take this shield down. These screws out. And take the rest off the other side. And take that shield down. You can see right here is where the drain is. I'm just going to take a hose, just go right over that part, and just have a drain bucket underneath. Loosen up the drain cap. You want to make sure the engine's cold when you're doing this. You take the hose off until it starts draining. And open that slowly. There we go. And we'll drain it out. I'm going to take off this idler pulley using a E12 socket. Slide that off. This other pulley, idler pulley, we're going to take that off. That is going to be an E10 socket we're going to use. Slide that off. Down here, there's a clip. I'm just going to use a trim tool, or you can use a pick or a screwdriver. Just take this clip off. Just slide it out. Just pull that off. Now with a drain bucket underneath here, I'm going to slide that hose back and forth. There's going to be some coolant. Set that out of the way. Using a E10 socket, I'm going to start taking the bolts out from the water pump. Pull that out. After you get all the smaller bolts out, then you're going to switch to the E12 socket. Take those bolts out. There's one up top here. Don't forget that one. And one more down below. Oh, there's another one down below as well. Two down below. I'm just using a indexable pry bar or a hook and just going on the back side of the water pump. Underneath there's a little section between the engine and where the lower radiator hose goes in. Just pry out a little bit. You're going to lose a little coolant. And it slides right off. I'm just going to take a razor blade very carefully, just strip off some of the old gasket. You can use a scraper or even like a plastic razor blade. Just be careful, you don't want to gouge it. Just scrape off all that excess gasket material. Take the pump and you want the new gasket. Just line that up. Flip this around. Slide this down in place. And the surface on the engine is all cleaned up now. Line this up. And one's right there. Get these all snug. I'm going to torque the larger bolts to 7 foot-pounds for the first pass. The second pass, I'm going to torque those to 18 foot-pounds. The smaller bolts I'm going to torque to 4 foot-pounds first. First pass. All right. Second pass, I'm going to do 15 foot-pounds on all the smaller bolts. Now take the hose, get that lined up, and just push it up. Make sure it locks in place. That's good. And take the pulley, get that started. And snug that down. And I'll torque that to 15 foot-pounds. Now put this pulley on, get that started. And torque this bolt to 15 foot-pounds. That's good. Take the belt, going down to the alternator. We'll go up on the bottom of the water pump, go over the idler pulley, and go under the crank pulley. Oops, nope, over the other idler pulley. Over the tensioner pulley and down to the crank. Over the AC. And we'll go up to the power steering. Over the top. Actually, the belt came off the alternator, and that's okay. That's where we're gonna slide it over that once we get the tension off the tensioner. Let's see. Make sure it's over all the ribs. And before you go over the upper idler pulley, the belt is around the alternator. I'll just use the 17mm socket, take some of the tension off the tensioner, and slide it over the idler pulley. Up top. There we go. Make sure everything looks good. Belt's in all the right grooves. So that looks good. Now we'll just take the tension off the tensioner one more time and then pull that pin out. I'm going to take the hose off and close up the valve. Make sure that's all the way closed. Take this panel and line it up. That lined up and get the screws started. And tighten these all down. Take this cover, line it up, and lock it down. I'm going to take the cap off the coolant reservoir, and you want to top off all the coolant. You're going to run the engine for about 10 to 15 minutes, monitoring to make sure the engine's not overheating. After that, shut the vehicle off. When it's cool, adjust the level accordingly, and you should be good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.